Alright, in this video we're going to learn the main theme for Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. We're going to be learning that the line that the trumpets play in the intro and in those instrumental breaks. Alright, so I'm going to play through and teach 5 different levels of variation for Ring of Fire here. We're going to start really simple with a bare bones melody, and bit by bit we'll add some layers of complexity so we can practice kind of a level at a time and step up to the next level. We'll add in some rolls to fill out the sound and even add in a traditional kind of Scruggs riff with that Foggy Mountain roll and add in some hammer-ons to give it a more authentic sound. Also going to teach some lead-in notes that lead in to the main phrase and just add a bit of excitement when you're starting this off. One, two, three, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Alright, so the playthrough, it's a nice example of what everything is going to sound like, and also it's going to be kind of a backing track for you to practice along with. You may need to listen to just one piece at a time, pause it and try to practice that, but once you start to develop all the different components, I think a good long-term goal is going to be able to try to play along with me from the beginning to the end. But at first, like I said, we need to just work on a piece at a time. So we might need to listen some to understand how it sounds, pause it, then just work on that piece or that component. All right, so this one, when we're actually playing it, after we've learned it, after we've practiced it, our performance speed, if we're performing it just for ourselves or just playing along, I think a good goal is around 80 to 100 beats per minute, like a good walking pace. Da, 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 right? Nice brisk walk. When you're practicing it, this is after you've learned the right notes, the right order. We're going to try to go slower than that, around 60 beats per minute, kind of pretty slow, maybe even slower down to 50. Here's an example of what 60 beats per minute sounds like. A lot slower, more laid back. Da, 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 da. Okay? When you're first learning it, we've got to go a note at a time and play out of time. You know, at first we need to just experiment, put the fingers where they need to go, make sure we're picking the right strings in the right order. And we've also got to understand the timing of all this stuff. And that's going to be best understood through repeated listening. Listen to the original. You'll start to absorb the timing of this thing, and listen to that playthrough example. You know, rewind it a bunch for each of these individual parts whenever you're working on a section. All right, so now I'm going to go through all the main components that you need. First off, after we find the notes that we need to play, which starts off on this open string, then we've got these two notes out of the C chord shape, then right back to that first string, right? And then after that, we've got the second string, these two notes out of the D7 chord shape, going from the first finger there on the second string, middle finger on the third string, second fret, and then to open, or back to the open second string, the B string, right? So we need the notes first. First string, second string, open, and then second string, second string, first fret, third string, second fret, open B string, right? So once you get your fingers where they need to be, then we need to add the correct timing. This one's a little bit tricky because we've got to pretty much count to 3 once and then count to 4 right after it. That's very, very uncommon, but that's what gives this song the signature feel. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay? You know, I was counting along in the playthrough a lot so you can hear that. And if you notice, we've got these two notes out of these little chord positions. Those are coming in the span of, you know, where you feel one beat if you're just tapping your toe along. Okay? So that's just big important thing to get the timing right and the spacing right of this thing when we're starting at the most simple level. Again, listening to the original, over time, you won't even need to count. You'll have listened to it so much that you just know how it's supposed to sound. You'll start to feel it as much as you hear it or understand it in the way that we were counting before. All right, so after we've got that basic melody and basic timing, then we're just going to add in some extra notes here. So we're going to play, instead of just playing this note long at first, or 1, 2, 3. Sometimes you need to count out loud. If you're counting in your head, oftentimes you're going to miss it. So if we're going to count, let's count out loud. If not, we need to just listen along a lot and play along to make sure that we're playing it right. So we've got that guide when we're listening or playing along. But anyways, we're going to add in some extra notes here. Right? So we're just playing those first open strings 4 times. Okay. Next is the syncopation. This one is kind of tough. So I'm going to play it in context, but then I'm going to play just the syncopated part a bunch so that you can have that as an example to listen to and play along with. Okay. Okay, I'm going to play through just the syncopated part. So I'm not going to go to the part where we play the chord notes, because that's not the syncopation. It's just just that, okay? So I'm gonna play that a bunch so you hear it and are able to play along with it. I'm gonna go slow too. Okay, listen along to that a bunch, try to sing it or scat it first, and then try to play along with it. A big help here, try to sing or scat the rhythm of this before you actually play it. So when you're listening along to the original, or to me when I'm playing through it, kind of sing it on a random syllable like da or la. Da 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 da. You don't even have to know exactly how to count it. It really doesn't matter. The human mind is amazing. You can just sing it like this and you'll start to conceptualize the timing in the right way if you sing along with it enough and if you've listened to it enough. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. And if you do that enough, you'll start to absorb it and internalize it. You're going to be much more likely to get it accurately when you try to play it on your banjo. I'm going to play it again a little bit slower. So basically we're going long, short, long, short, long, long, short, long, short, long. Da, 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 da. Right, and then going into those other main melody notes. All right, the next component that you need to get down is this extended forward roll pattern. Now, a lot of the time, a basic forward roll is just going to be an 8-note roll. This one's a little bit extended because it's filling all those 4 beats that I was tapping my toe to. So what's going to happen is we're going to end on the melody note as we were playing it. And then we're going to do 4 forward rolls, thumb, index, middle. And then end on a long thumb note. So okay, so I'll have the tablature for that you can download, and I'm going to play through just that forward roll a bunch so that you can have something to listen to and play along with. Definitely try to master this roll by itself before putting it with the melody. And when we end that second phrase, we end there on the second string, and then we'll do the same roll pattern. It's just coming after we end the note on the second string. All right, we're going to need to learn the Foggy mountain roll as well if you want to add in another layer of interest to this thing. So the Foggy mountain roll, we're going to play the strings 2, 1 with index and middle. Then we're going to drop the thumb down to the second string, play the first with your middle, and then we're going to play 5, 2, 1, 5. Okay, I'll have the tablature for that. Foggy mountain roll is a really common one, so it's one a lot of people already know. When playing this in context with Ring of Fire, we're going to need to first have our second finger down on the second string here at the 3rd fret, right? And make sure to be right on your fingertip so that you don't accidentally mute that first string, right? We want those nice bent knuckles there, and we also don't want to touch the side of that first finger to the first string as well. A lot of fine lines we've got to navigate here to play this cleanly. After you have that down, we're just going to play the Foggy Mountain Roll. Go to that chord shape, play those 2 notes of the melody. Finish off with that open first string in the melody, and then fill with the forward roll. All right, in context, here's what it sounds like. All right, and then for the second phrase, we're just going to do the Foggy Mountain Roll on open strings. And if you want to get fancy, add a hammer-on in on the second part, when you hit your second string for the second time, within that Foggy Mountain Roll. All right, I want to show you some lead-in notes. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this, a simple way so that we've got something that's achievable and interesting for any beginner players out there. You know, I teach a lot of in-person lessons, and I notice how hard some of this stuff is for people. So it's always good to have something that's simple and achievable and something that's a little bit tougher for a more long-term goal. So here's a simple lead-in. If we're just playing the basic melody, we're just going to go open second, first fret, first finger, second fret, second finger, and then play the melody. Right? We could even do it without syncopating the melody. Right? Or even just play the bare bones. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that's an easy way to add a cool sounding lead-in for the start of Ring of Fire. If you're to the point to where you're playing that Foggy Mountain Roll, we're going to add in a little layer of complexity to give you a more authentic and more exciting sound. We're going to do some pinches, not on the outside strings, but with our index and our middle fingers on the second and first strings, and do that same walk up. Right? And then we go right into and you can hear an example of me playing this in the intro. And also another thing a lot of banjo players will do is add 1 short note before those 3 walk-in notes. It usually can be on any string, but here playing the 5th string really quick works very well. I'll play it a couple times. So just listening to that will start to familiarize you with the timing. You may need to practice it a little bit slower. Right? And you may need to just practice it out of time, just making sure you're playing the right notes in the right order. That's always important. So some of the technique things here I wanted to talk about mainly is fret hand, finger preparation. So if you're watching my hands when I'm playing this, and you should definitely do that. And also, you know, if you're watching other banjo players you admire, watch their hands, watch their hand shape in regards to their fret hand and their picking hand. You can learn a lot just by watching good players or experienced players. But as you can see, all the time when I'm playing this, before I do those 2 little notes out of the C chord shape, I've got my fingers curled and above the fingerboard and even above the strings before I need them there. So that finger preparation is absolutely crucial to playing this smoothly, in time, you know, and cleanly. Right, and I moved them in the air to prepare for that little D7 shape as well. So you just got to be kind of moving and grooving as you're rolling. You want to be able to prepare as you play and pick. When I'm doing the Foggy Mountain roll, especially with the lick, I've already got that first finger down. So if I want to add in that hammer on, it's already there. And also I'm keeping that ring finger close. You can see it's over top of the first string. So when I need to go to that C chord shape, all I'm doing is just sliding back and lifting that second finger as I push down on my ring finger when I need to go to that C chord shape. And pick hand posture is always important, especially for this syncopated thing. It can be tough to do it at speed because it requires a lot of quick motion from your picking fingers. So something that can help. Make sure that your palm's not squished down and not too low, and that these first fingers here, these joints, aren't too curled up. Something I've noticed that really helps with my speed, if I can get the top of my hand about even with the head and the knuckles almost in line with the strings, that usually gets my fingers in a pretty good spot. And a lot of the times I'll just get them here in home position, thumb on third, index on second, and middle on first, and just kind of squeeze. And one thing you can see I'm doing here is I'm relaxing this first joint, right? I'm not curling up too much like this. I'm relaxing it, and that kind of elongates the finger. And when that happens, a lot of the picking motion is coming a little bit more from these back knuckles instead of coming from these smaller knuckles. And that'll usually give you more speed and more power. I've definitely noticed an increase in my speed and fluidity when I try to get to a little bit better picking posture before I start playing something. And something I've noticed with a lot of my students, a lot of people have the tendency to really tense up and play loudly. So try to play this stuff quietly, because when you're playing quiet, you're forced to have less muscle tension to get a softer sound. Right, and you're also exercising good dynamic control, which is important for banjo players. All right, I'm going to leave it there for this lesson on Ring of Fire. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to see more, please comment and let us know. I'd love to take a deeper dive into this song, maybe explore some of the backup for playing through the entire song. It's a really cool and interesting tune that has a lot of unique features and obviously a really cool signature sound. When you're working on this, make sure to practice one level at a time. Don't try to go all the way to the hardest thing. Make sure you can play that basic melody with good timing. Then make sure you can add in those extra notes without syncopation. Then focus on just that syncopation part, right? Make sure you can do all this stuff in pieces. It's going to be a lot more efficient if you work that way instead of just going beginning to end. Then obviously, as I talked about, we've got that extended forward roll. Work on that. Foggy Mountain roll and the Foggy Mountain riff. All right, I hope you all enjoyed that one. Keep picking and stay tuned.